welcome to another very special Skype episode of Simian Soapbox. I'm Gavin Knecht.
I'm Alex Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Cabrios.
Let's get the show on the road.
Ooga booga.
Okay, good. So,
what's wrong with you, Gavin?
I've frozen up. No.
Right.
Okay, so the reason why it's a very special episode is that myself, Alex and Ryan, we cannot all be together.
Cry, cry.
Because I live far away out in the sticks and it's a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And Ryan and Alex live fairly near each other in the city of Cologne. And we are speaking via Skype.
See the description for the exact address?
Okay.
No.
No. Okay. Anyway, it's quite a wonder though, isn't it? I mean, if we talk about 15 years ago, this wouldn't be possible, would it? Via Skype, at least.
Probably not. Definitely not via Skype. Skype. Definitely
Skype.
not via Skype. But definitely through Skype, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, conference calls were possible, weren't they? You know, these... But
in terms of quality, sound quality...
That was through the phone line, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty awful when they...
But telephones and stuff, they haven't changed in quality for like 20, 30, 40 years. They're the same... Hang on, it's a bandwidth, like it's up to 3,000 hertz, and that hasn't changed forever.
I mean, the way people talk to each other on a phone, it sounds exactly the same on my Nokia phone that I had back when I was, I don't know, a wee lad, you know?
A wee lad.
A wee lad. But yeah, the indestructible Nokia bricks.
Yeah, I found my old Nokia phone the other day, the 2210, and I plugged it in, charged it up, switched it on, still works.
Are you surprised?
But I can't really use it for anything because it can't take the network here, and yeah, it's really...
It can't? Is it locked or something?
No, well, it's a British one, and if I try to put a modern SIM card in there, it won't fit. The SIM card's a different size these days, isn't it? So.
Oh, but you can get those multi-SIM cards, can't you?
I don't know.
Is it that it's too big or it's too small? Because you can get, SIM cards that can either slip into one that fits bigger SIM card slots, and you can keep your brick. You can keep using your brick.
Yeah, Gavin, I think you should return to the brick.
I've also heard rumors that the Nokia is coming back in full force. The 2210?
I've heard the same thing.
2210, yeah.
Yeah, and how great would that be? If that was ready...
Yeah, I could play Snake again.
Yeah, I would possibly make the switch.
I could swear you can download Snake on the App Store.
Yeah, but is it like 8-bit quality? No.
Yeah,
It's actually looks good. Who wants that?
I'll tell you something that I really miss and I really love, and you guys will think I'm really weird, but I really love 8-bit sound. I love all the stuff from Super Mario, all those beautiful tones and everything from 8-bit sound.
That's not weird at all.
It was absolutely fantastic. That buzzy bass line in the background, that rhythm that shouldn't be there. 8-bit.
Oh, dude, totally.
Oh, that really takes me back, man.
Totally. I mean,
No,
8-bit,
I like modern technology.
I like 8-bit sounds.
Yeah.
Old school video games always had that 8-bit sound, and you can always tell that, this was made in like the 80s, the 90s. And some modern games are trying to do a lot of throwbacks to that kind of sound. Even modern video games do throw back to 8-bit technology.
There's a lot of homage to it.
Yeah. A lot of history behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But Alex, you're not a big fan of the 8-bit sound.
No, I like my modern things.
Okay.
Well, you know me. You've been over to mine. You've seen my setup. I'm a bit of a modern technology freak, shall we say.
But do you say would you say that you always have to have your finger on the pulse? Are you really a real digital boy? Have you got to have the next thing out?
No, not necessarily. I had the same old Nokia brick, not quite the 2210, but a Nokia brick for many, many years, and that thing just kept going and going and going.
Those things could outlast humanity.
That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Twinkies and Nokias.
But that's it now. I mean, I remember my grandmother had a colour Toshiba TV in 1976. She died in 2008 and it still worked. But now, if you have a television, what does it last? 3 to 5 years maybe before it burns out? Computer 2 years before it... Well, this one's lasted 4 years. But if I have a phone, it lasts about 2 years. Do you think there's some built-in obsolescence? Do you think we live in a society with cyclical consumption where we have to waste things in order for new things to be made all the time? I mean, to me, this is, and it's just a theory, this is where technology is headed. I mean, things don't seem to last anymore, do they, with technology?
I mean, if you'd let us get a word in sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I don't think that's more of a technology problem. I think that's more of a marketing and business problem. Not for the business, but for the consumer, because I feel like Apple has really set this trend of constantly pushing out the next thing, the next big thing.
And you know people, I'm sure you both know people who just have to have the latest iPhone, regardless of which model they just had. If they had the iPhone 6, they've got to suddenly got the iPhone 6S.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the other thing is as well, I think if you look back at the first iPhone, the charger that you had for the first iPhone wouldn't fit into a charger for a new iPhone now, would it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've changed all the little bits and pieces and everything, haven't they?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's Apple, personally. I think they're just...
I think that is, yeah, definitely, I agree.
Rather than companies in general, I think that's personally...
Yeah.
I think that's just Apple.
But for them to become the powerhouse that they are, I do think that they're setting this trend of pushing the consumer to buy the next big thing, because they didn't have to change the charger. The charger had problems, but they could have fixed the charger, or could have made the charger better, instead of changing the complete port and forcing everyone to switch their chargers to the new lightning ports. Just like they're doing with the new iPhones with no headphone jack. It almost seems like they're forcing not just their consumers, but the competition to start removing their headphone jacks and switching to Bluetooth headphones.
I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope you have the option of plug or Bluetooth.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm quite skeptical. But I know it sounds really cynical, but I definitely do think that there's some kind of planned obsolescence at least. So, for example, if you have a phone that's going to last you 10 years, it's not very good for the manufacturer, is it?
I know, but they don't need to... Apple, at least, don't need this obsolescence built in, because people will.
Not just that, it's for the manufacturers. They're not making that big of difference from generation to generation since the iPhone 4 jump to the iPhone 5. So from there, the lightning port's been the same for their phones. The last two generations are the exact same shape. Just minor alterations and improvements. I would want to say minimal to marginal improvements from generation to generation. But aside from Apple, it seems like if Samsung were to follow suit, I have heard rumors of them removing their headphone jacks.
I know.
And a lot of laptops switching to the new HDMI, what is it, HDMI-C?
HDMI-C, okay.
That's the new one that the MacBook has introduced to their ports, because they no longer have USB ports. So they have the USB. Sorry, not HDMI-C, USB-C ports, which are supposed to replace the I don't want to say now obsolete, but maybe now the more outdated USB ports, which kind of is.
Are they like them micro USB things? Are they, or?
Nah. So how your USB port is. Again,
but it is like the micro USB. The USB-C is. On the phone I've bought, the Google Pixel, that's a USB-C, not a micro USB.
Okay, yeah.
So it is similar, but it's like,
So basically, whatever you plug into your laptop, the USB port in your laptop, in the next few generations, may be pushed to this new USB-C, which is supposed to make...
Why would you put that on a computer? Like, my tablet we're using here has a micro USB, because, it's a tablet, but on a MacBook?
Yeah.
That's big enough to put a USB port on.
Exactly.
And the USB port has changed. It's just not changed shape. It's been improved without changing the shape.
Yeah.
But what's the rationale behind this, Ryan?
It's the improved downloading speeds or transfer speeds. But they could have just improved the cables, improved the laptops. But now it is this next big jump. Again, I do feel like Apple does set this trend. I do feel like they have this kind of hold on consumers now, where if they set this trend, if other big companies such as Samsung, Dell, Microsoft don't follow suit, then they will be left in the dust, because Apple does have such a strong consumer following.
Yeah, I was about to mention, I think, the customer loyalty with Apple. This brings me back to the exploding, what was it, this Note 7?
Samsung.
Yeah.
Samsung Note 7.
I mean, if this had happened to an Apple product, I think it would have been swept over in a week. I think the customers would have been so loyal, this just wouldn't have been an issue. But with Samsung, it was a very big issue, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And I sort of get that feeling that if this was an Apple, I think it would never have put people off. I think it would have just been in the news, maybe it would have fizzled out in a week.
Because you brought up the exploding batteries, I want to tell my sub story.
Yeah, please do.
I mentioned I bought a Google Pixel.
Ah, yes.
Was
I bought
used or user new?
New,
Okay.
brand new, from Google.
Uh-huh.
But because it was £600 in the UK, €750 here, I decided to buy it in the UK.
Oh, heavy.
I got it sent to my dad. Dad, post it to me. Because of this Samsung Note 7 exploding battery fiasco, no one will ship a phone via airmail now.
So you either have to go there or he has to come here.
My brother and my mum are coming next week, and they're going to bring it with them. But I've been waiting about a month now, and I'm just...
For a phone.
This is my sob story.
You're going to have to hope that nobody forgets.
That totally blows, man. It totally blows. It is a sweet phone. I have seen the specs, and I have seen how it can rival a lot of the Samsung and a lot of the Apple phones.
Mm-hmm. It's like the iPhone, but by Google.
But
and I'm happier with that.
The problem with Google, though, is their previous attempts with cell phones have not been so successful. The G1 back, maybe 5-6 years ago, was another one to rival the iPhone at the time. And now, I mean, how many of you know or own one of the original Google phones when it first came out?
Oh, no, I've never had one.
It actually, to be honest, it actually looked pretty damn cool.
I like Android. I'm a big fan of Android, but the Nexus and the other ones never caught my interest.
Yeah. The problem with me is that my family has been an Apple family. And that's another thing. That's bringing back to that customer loyalty. You see a lot of these people... It's not so much that at this point that they don't appreciate the advances that Samsung. I mean, mind you, Samsung phones are so much more powerful, and you could do so much more with them.
Yeah,
But
you'll say that as an iPhone user?
as an iPhone user, absolutely. I would honestly. I think this phone, my iPhone 5S, would be the last iPhone I would get.
Really? Okay.
Just
wow.
because at this point, it doesn't feel like Apple's making any big progress. It doesn't make they're making any big jumps in technology. The biggest thing that they did in the iPhone 7, or one of the biggest things, was putting waterproof casing onto their phones, so you can now bring them underwater to a certain extent. Samsung's been able to do that for a few generations now. It's not their newest. It's in their newest phones, but Apple's just recently now getting into that. It just feels like they're not reinventing the wheel. They're just kind of, oh hey, look at this.
Look, it's September again. Let's bring out a new phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, maybe they could improve it, couldn't they? They could put like a bottle opener on there or something.
Nothing quite so good.
Yeah. I would say that's not the biggest thing they could do, but it's a better idea.
Yeah, but that would be ingenious, wouldn't it? To have a bottle opener on your phone.
I'm sure there's cases that you
Why
can
didn't
get.
everyone need keyring? Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone can open.
Okay.
I mean, being in Germany, everyone can open a bottle with anything really now. I've seen people open bottles with their eyelids, which is
With their eyelids.
yeah, they just go boom, crack it
Oh,
open.
God.
That's one of the scariest ways. I have also seen people open it with their teeth, and I
Yeah,
just
that's
think
bad. You're gonna fuck your
that's
teeth.
just terrible.
Did that when I was younger. I used to do that. Before I learned to like the trick, that was my go-to for opening bottles.
Anyway, guys.
Yeah.
Ryan, you mentioned you were an Apple family.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you are. You come from.
We still, yeah, I would say we still are. Growing up, when it came to picking up any tech, it would be Apple because one, my brother used to work at Best Buy, so he was pretty tech savvy, but even he chose to pick up a MacBook or a MacBook Pro when the MacBook Pro came out. Myself, being the younger brother, I would think, okay, if he gets that seems to be the good choice. He is the techie, so I would follow suit.
You see, I went the other way. My dad loves Apple. He had this old LC Macintosh when I was a kid. He had Macintosh all the time when I was growing up. Everything was Mac. Everything was Apple. Everything. Okay. He's got a MacBook. He's got an iPod. Just keeps getting more and more. And for me, growing up with them, I didn't like them. I went straight to Windows, straight to Google, straight to Android.
Hey, and that totally makes sense.
But on a slightly different topic, I suppose I'd ask the question, whatever happened to BlackBerry? Because that was a big thing for like 2 or 3 years, wasn't it?
They're still hanging on.
They are hanging on by a thread, but I think it's because originally their marketing plan was market to the businessman, businesswoman. And the thing that they've faltered with is that now the progression for business people is towards Apple or Samsung. So mostly because of one, BlackBerry's tech never could keep up, and Samsung and Apple kept pushing it. And now that Samsung and iPhones just really dominate the market in the mobile phone industry, BlackBerry is really having a hard time competing because,
yeah.
You know, I mean, look at
Are they still doing that thing? Like, their thing was always hanging on to that keyboard. They always wanted a physical keyboard. Do they still have those?
Yeah, well, I don't know, but for me, that was an advantage to having a BlackBerry, was that it was a time when lots of people preferred to use text messaging. It was that time when people were frightened that if you put your telephone to your head, it would microwave your brain. So everybody was into this sort of keypad communication, and BlackBerry provided this. They had a free messaging service. You could contact any BlackBerry in the world via this messaging service, and it was great.
Yeah.
But it just fizzled out.
It was a different time.
I think iPhones came out, and then, I don't know, it just took over everything.
Everybody wants to have the most expensive gadget, especially when it's business. You want to spend that money.
Yeah. I remember I did want a BlackBerry back in high school. Back when BlackBerry set the bar for keyboards back in the day. And then everyone started doing physical keyboards. The QWERTY keyboard became the IT keyboard. And I remember there was LG with... what did they call it? Not the Sidekick, that's T-Mobile. But the Sidekick, yeah, with all those physical keyboards. And then once the touchscreen came out, an iPhone really just set the bar for everything tech, you know, for a mobile phone, everything that a mobile phone should be with the iPhone, the original iPhone.
Yeah.
BlackBerry just could not compete. They had the BlackBerry Storm to be their version of the touchscreen phone and kept...
That kind of bombed, didn't it? I've not heard anything about that.
Yeah.
Speaking of being a teenager and phones and coming out, because we were talking about ports before, remember on phones like 10 years ago when if you changed phone you had to get a new charger, you were at a friend's house, your phone was running out of battery, fucking tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like now that
everyone has
as long as you don't have an iPhone, you can borrow your friend's charger and you're fine.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have an iPhone.
Yeah, typically it's non-iPhones and iPhones share the same charger. Typically. So if you don't have an iPhone, Samsung, or most all still use that similar...
Micro USB.
I would say that trapezoid, the micro USB.
Is that the one, isn't it?
It's a trapezoid shape,
Yeah.
A micro USB charging port, typically.
Yeah, but look at this. I got my phone here. It's an Android, okay, it's Amazon Fire, this one. So I got my charger, plugged into the wall. I can take it out of the wall like this. Or I can take this off, okay? I know the listeners can't see me, but maybe we can put some pictures up later or something.
He's showing us a USB cable for reference.
I can now connect this to my computer, charge it from my computer, and take the data off at the same time. It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, if you told someone that
5 years ago, they'd be...
10, 15, think that.
Oh yeah, 10,
I mean,
15.
even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd blow their minds, wouldn't it, I think?
5 years ago in 2012.
We must have had it in 2012. We must have. No? Am I crazy? In 2012, I had a HTC One.
At least, I know Apple, you were always able to charge it on your laptop. Since the iPhone, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you had to put your music on somehow.
You had to put your music on somehow.
Yeah. That's how I know, yeah.
Ah, yeah. I used to charge my MP3 player off the computer using a USB.
Exactly.
That was in around 2006 or 2007.
So the technology,
I got an iPod Nano, yeah. You could charge that with the computer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think you had to, didn't you? No, you could have one of those, I got a plug with it.
That makes me think, how many people own iPods still?
Oh, God.
When everyone could put all of their music in their phones. Who's still rocking
I don't have an
MP3
iPod
players?
anymore, because it fucking broke, but I still prefer to have a separate MP3 player device, because it doesn't... When I use my phone, it just
drains the battery.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
exactly what I was going to say.
Absolutely.
So I want something with a separate battery.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
I do that too, but I use an old iPhone as my iPod because, again, yes, like you, my iPod's always
You've got 2 iPhones.
Yes, this is an old iPhone. This is an old iPhone that I use as an iPod. I've deleted everything, and all it is just music.
So basically, you've turned an iPhone into an iPod Touch.
Yeah, exactly. Ingenuity at its finest, right?
Yeah.
I suppose. I mean, you could have sold it.
Who's gonna go, hey, I really want an iPhone S. Nah.
No?
iPhone 4S, sorry.
I'd like to go back to Alex's point about if you told somebody maybe 10 years ago that you could plug your phone into your computer to charge it. But I remember my grandfather telling me once, he said if you told somebody in 1950 that in the future people would be walking around with a telephone in their pocket, it would have blown their minds. They would have said, you're an idiot, you're stupid, it'll never happen. And now we've gone from not just having telephones in our pockets, but a telephone that can take pictures, videos, HD pictures and videos. It can do, well, you see your whole computer in your pocket. You can have your whole office in your pocket. And being someone who uses Skype a lot, I could go and give a lesson in a coffee shop on my telephone.
That is pretty mind-blowing.
I mean, how amazing is that?
It would probably cost a load of credit, but yeah, amazing.
That reminds me, one student one night, I remember I had this one student, and he was stuck in traffic. He called the school and actually asked if he could do the lesson either over the phone or over FaceTime or Skype. And at the time, I was pretty confused because I thought we honestly could have, and he wouldn't have been late. He probably would have made the trip to our office and, you know, continue the lesson from where we left off on Skype. But then after talking to one of our coworkers, she said, that just makes no sense though. Why would you put yourself through that? But then I thought, but it's for the student, and it totally makes sense. It's not like that person was driving at the time; they were just
as long as you're using their credit, not your credit.
Exactly.
You're fine.
Yeah, but again, if you go to a cafe or somewhere that has free Wi-Fi, or even a pub that has free Wi-Fi, sure, you could give a lesson over the phone.
I mean, this
you?
is what you make your business out of, not through your phone, but through your laptop.
Yeah.
This is your livelihood, Gavin.
Yeah, but again, I could do it through my phone, couldn't I? Technically,
if you so wish.
Yeah, if you wanted to burn through all your data, absolutely. But
yeah, but you wouldn't with the Wi-Fi though, would you? If you go somewhere with this free Wi-Fi, it wouldn't touch.
Not at all. Yeah.
Oh, but where in Germany has a free Wi-Fi? That's bloody hard to find, I've found.
No, loads of places have free Wi-Fi in Germany.
Some cafes, yeah.
Whiton does, doesn't it? Starbucks too.
Starbucks typically,
Yeah.
In my experience, it's rare. Okay, maybe I'm going to the wrong places.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Actually, some stores even offer free Wi-Fi, but if you were to be giving a lesson in a Tommy Hilfiger or something with free Wi-Fi, I'm pretty sure that would burn through their bandwidth. And
Well, no, it's good if your lesson is about clothes and shopping. Why not go around shopping?
I wonder how good the connection would be.
absolutely terrible if it's for the customers.
Yeah.
You know.
You might not get such good quality over Skype.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Well, we'll test this one day, and I'll tell you, and then we can make a whole podcast about it.
Let's do that. Let's test it.
Yeah, a nice experiment.
What was I going to say? I had something.
Yeah, sorry.
I've lost it.
I disturbed you. Yeah, I was just saying about my grandfather saying that in 1950, if you told someone they could put a phone in their pocket, everybody walking around with telephones.
Go back to the 90s, though. You tell someone you're going to be walking around with a computer in your pocket.
Yeah, they wouldn't believe
Well, I don't know, because there were filofaxes around.
Filofax isn't a computer.
Oh, or do you remember, what were they called? Palm Pilots.
Palm Pilots, oh god.
What the fuck?
Oh, dude, you don't remember Palm Pilots?
I have no idea what you're talking
They were
about.
basically-
Oh, it's like a filofax, but a bit.
Step up.
And you had like a little stylus and that kind of stuff, didn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
That was the time of the stylus. So imagine if an iPhone were 8-bit and it was basically a computer but with a stylus, you know, and you do your schedules on it. You could do schedules, work your calendar, make memos. Yeah. Palm Pilots were actually pretty advanced for the time, but now that I think about it, who the hell still has a Palm Pilot?
Nah, it's like, Alex, it's like a filofax, but with like a touchscreen thing.
Yeah, and the fact that Alex doesn't even remember it, it's
Fair enough. It totally went over my head. I totally missed it.
But I mean,
you're younger than me. I don't know how you know about it, and I don't.
it's because my mom is one of those women who does have the newest forms of technology in almost every sense. She's not a techie by any means, but she will get her hands on.
As soon as the new iPhone is out, she is in the queue.
Yeah, my current iPad is my mom's former iPad. So that's also part of why we're an iPad family. It's all hand-me-downs. So it somehow makes its way...
free.
Exactly. If it makes its way out of my mom's hands, it either goes to my brother or to me or someone in our family. She picked up the mini iPad the moment she saw it because she was complaining how her iPad was too heavy. And then a year later, when the next mini iPad came out, or the iPad Air, she thought, oh my goodness, it's so light. Gave that mini iPad to our cousin in the Philippines. I'm just like, okay, I would have taken it, you know? But yes, it is that this
is the thing culture. With hand-me-downs. You you don't have that demand.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever been to a science fair or a science fair in Germany?
No,
never.
I remember I went to one in Hanover. I went to the CeBIT, which is like the really big one. It used to be the biggest one in the world. And this was in 2007. And there was a phone that they had made, and I can't remember who the manufacturer was. I think it might have been Nokia, and it had a projector inside.
Oh.
And they could use the telephone with a projector. You could use it as a TV. But they never advanced.
That's cool.
And this was 2007, so it's 10 years ago. But they never moved on from it. I'd never heard about it again.
I have seen some things at some stores that allow you to put their... At one shop, it was basically a cardboard box that you slip your phone into, and it projects the images that are on your phone screen onto any wall. But the video quality was never as good because, I mean, it was a cardboard box with just a magnifying glass built in.
Yeah.
But I thought the idea
was cool, like from your phone to a projector.
Exactly.
I have a projector, but it's this big fuck-off box. You need a power outlet.
But they had something like this in the 1960s. Obviously not for phones, but for your television. If you had a very small television, you could buy this special lens that was on a frame, and you could move it towards you or towards the television to make a big picture. And then you look at this big lens and see from this small television this big screen. It turned this lens into a really big screen. I don't know if you could imagine that. I can't remember what it's called, but it was popular among students in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So if you lived in like a VG like you live, and you had one communal room and you only had enough money for one very small TV, you could get one of these.
You could buy this lens and
and blow it up. Apparently they were really, really good.
Or you could just, pool your money, buy a projector and plug someone's laptop into it. I mean,
speaking of which, the projector I have is the one I used in my flat share.
Yeah.
I used to say it belonged to one of the other guys. I bought it off him when he moved out, but yeah, it was the projector we used to watch Netflix on.
Yeah.
Netflix technology. I love technology.
Yeah. But Ryan, I was about to say, you could plug something into your computer, but not in the 1960s, man. I think
no, not back then.
They're a little bit behind then. But it's quite novel, wasn't it? I mean, the technologies existed for such a long time, and just don't seem to be using it.
One last thing to wrap us up: is bigger better? We're talking about these TVs, and back in the 1960s, TVs were tiny.
But oh man, it's really funny because the irony of phones. I feel like it really has done this, like a pendulum kind of thing where his bottom.
The first phones in the 1980s were massive.
Yeah. And then progressively you see the reduction in the size.
Yeah.
To the point where even movies, they even made fun, like Zoolander. At a certain point they had that microphone that could fit between microphone. Boom. But it was a phone that could fit between 3 fingers, and then that was supposed to be the next thing.
Oh god.
And then the new trend.
Have you seen that glove that you put it on your hand and then you can talk with a thumb up and the finger out?
Is that really the next thing?
No, I mean
a freaking glove on.
I can't imagine anyone really doing that.
But they have been marketed. You can look online for these mobile phones.
I have seen them and I do laugh at them.
Yeah.
What self-respecting person would buy one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do hope this bigger trend especially with telecommunications does reach a climax, because
it's gonna have to,
because the iPhone 7 Plus and all of them are just getting ridiculous.
The peak was 2000 when we had the smallest phones. Mm-hmm. When do you think... I mean, where does a phone stop, a phablet begin, and a tablet begin?
You know what? The next big thing would be a combination of what Gavin was saying with the lens and the small size of the phones that we grew accustomed to in our, at least in Alex and my youths. You know?
In our youth, not in Gavin's youth.
Yeah, maybe not in
Gavin was
Gavin's
born
youth.
old.
Yeah, maybe not in Gavin's
I was
youth.
born old, yeah.
But in our youth, when we had those smaller phones, but that technology that Gavin was mentioning of this projection, yeah? Of it being projected onto what? You can project it onto the floor or onto the wall, to your hand.
The phone with the projector on. Yeah, I mean, is amazing.
But that has to come soon. They promised us the future. When is the future going to be now?
When are we going to get hover cars, man?
Oh my god.
Yeah, but that was 10 years ago. But, you know, in 1900, somebody said, everything that is to be invented has been invented. Technology cannot possibly advance any further. And if you look at what happened in the 20th century, you know, we went from the Wright brothers with their flying contraption to going to the moon in the space of, what was it, 60 years at the time, I think. Less.
So, yeah, who knows what's going to happen in the next decade? I mean, from between the time that, we were in high school to the time now, the technology that we use on a daily basis, especially in terms of telecommunication, has progressed so, I wouldn't even say aggressively, that it's almost indistinct of our time in the 90s, you know?
And should we embrace it?
Absolutely.
Oh, I love technology.
Yeah.
Lots of people saying automation is bad. There are people losing jobs. It's wasteful. Generally, it's wasteful because we throw so many things away now.
But before there were machines, they blamed the Mexicans and the Welsh.
Yeah. They'll find something to blame. Something or someone.
It doesn't matter if it's a person or a machine. Just someone's going to blame someone.
Before we do wrap it up, it is somewhat wasteful though, isn't it? That we buy something and then 2 years later we have the next best thing that comes out, so we throw our old thing away. I don't know,
I like to think I'm quite... I don't know. What's the word in English? I've got the word
Adaptive?
in German. I don't know. I try and keep the same technology. The computer I've got here, my desktop I've had since 2011. I've got the laptop. I still have that laptop from 2011.
Would you say preservative?
No, not preservative. But no, I try and keep things. I try and use them until they break. I don't go out and buy the newest thing.
Ah, okay. So this sort of ties in with you being frugal as well, doesn't it?
Yes, because I'm a tight bastard.
But that's not so much frugal. It is just mostly just using it to its expiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. I mean, I sort of do as well. I've got some pairs of shoes here that are 10 years old.
Efficient?
Nah, not efficient. Fuck it. In the comments, tell me what the hell I mean. I cannot remember the word.
When you want to use a product to its fullest extent, to the point that it dies out of its own accord, as opposed to you throwing it away.
Yeah, I don't rush out and buy the newest thing like your mum does.
Yeah, exactly. If you can figure that out, if you can figure that out, oh my god. Gavin, can you please say what I'm trying to say?
I don't know what you were trying to say until you tell me what you were trying to say.
I've got it. If you can figure out that word, leave us a comment. Leave us a like, leave us a share, subscribe. Gavin, take us away.
Okay, excellent. That's it from us, folks. Okay, thank you for letting us waste your time, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.